Welcome, everyone. We're doing another episode of Indie Reads Aloud. I am Diana Catherine Penn, your host, and today I have one of my favorite people back on the podcast. Her name is Donna Neumann, and she writes spectacular children's books. And her fourth book is out, and we're super excited because we get to read it. Welcome, Donna. Thanks for coming back.
Oh, thank you for having me back.
Always, every time you write a new book, you get to come back. So, for those who have not met Donna, we're going to talk a little bit about your background. First, you're a real life teacher person.
I am. I am a real life teacher person. I've been teaching for over 20 years. The last 5 years I taught virtually, and actually this year I am actually doing more of an admin role and helping other teachers and tutors support their children.
That's so cool. How is it different being a mentor for other teachers rather than your emphasis on actually teaching in the classroom? Do you find it more rewarding? Do you find it more challenging? How is that different?
I actually just literally finished last night. Every month, the tutors who work with their children one-on-one have to come up with goals with the children, and then at the end of the month, they tell us how many goals, and we track them. It helps check the growth, and helps measure things. And as of yesterday, our in the month of October, we had children who met 61 goals. So to me, that was I felt like inspired by it because it means that
Yeah,
whatever
absolutely.
we're doing is working and it's a team effort. And I always say that it's a team effort. So it's nice being part of a bigger team and seeing the bigger picture rather than focusing on just your little class, your group of kids.
Yeah, yeah, you feel like you have a greater impact, right? Because you're
Mhm.
touching many classrooms rather than just one classroom.
Right.
That's pretty cool. Okay, tell us about the Annie Porcupine series. I love this character. I think she's super awesome. How did she come into your world? And tell me a little bit about, the overarching story for these four books.
Okay, well, as a teacher, one of the things they always tell us is that every child should have a book that represents them. They say books should be windows and mirrors. So a child should be able to see themselves in a book, but also it gives people other views of, you know, um, gives other people views of what's going on in other people's lives.
Mhm.
So that being said, there was never a book for that child who maybe didn't celebrate holidays or maybe didn't have birthday parties or maybe their parents forgot to give them Valentine's to take to school. All of those things kind of add up to a group of group of books that was never there. So we always have tons of books. As a teacher, I have hundreds of books about Christmas and even Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, but I didn't have any book for that child who maybe didn't celebrate holidays. So that was the reason why Annie came about. And as I said, I only wrote the first book with that in mind. But then as I'm writing the book, I kept coming up with other ideas, not only from my life, but also as a teacher, things that I've seen. So that is how the books have come to where they are now.
Pretty awesome. I love the inclusivity of your books. I mean, the mere fact that everybody can see themselves or maybe see somebody they know in one of your stories. I think it's an amazing thing. I am really excited about this fourth book in the series. It is called But I Love My Mom Too. And it talks about the Mother's Day celebrations that happen so frequently around our society. Before we get into that, how many books do you have planned?
Well, that was the thing. I don't know. I actually didn't plan on writing this book. That was kind of the weird thing. I had other ideas for some other holiday kind of themed books. Mother's Day was not one that this book was not a book I had planned. It actually came from some personal things that are going on in my life, and it was making me reminisce of my mom. And I have a box full of my mom's memories, and I went in it, and in the box was a card I made my mom in fourth grade.
Okay.
And more of a healing process, I sat down and wrote this story, never meant to share it. But when I told my husband that I wrote this story as a thing, he said, well, let me read it. And so ended up that him and my children all read it and they go, it needs to be published. So that's kind of where that came from. So this book was never planned. I don't know if I have others in me. I have a couple other ideas for Annie books, but right now I've been kind of looking at doing some other things because I'm trying to expand as an author.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, I would love to hear you read this. It is But I Love My Mom Too by Donna Neumann. And if you can, when you're ready, share your screen and take the microphone and read aloud.
All right, but I love my mother too. And I did dedicate this one to my mom, but I also dedicated this book to my mother-in-law, who my husband passed away in the process of us writing this book. So I felt it that I needed to add it because the love from your mom is the greatest thing that you could have. But anyway, here we go. Everyone in Annie's class was buzzing about Mr. Pike's card contest. $25 was a lot of money, and everyone was excitedly talking about what they'd buy. Rhonda and Christina dreamed of pink glitter cowgirl boots. Cody and Julie compared pickleball rackets, and even Campbell had started circling toys in a catalog. But Annie wasn't thinking about the money. All she could think about was the card. It wasn't just any card contest, it was a Mother's Day card contest, a contest she couldn't win or even try to win. When the bell rang to go home, Annie mumbled to herself, "Who needs 25 bucks anyway?" She quietly slipped out of the classroom and onto the bus, feeling a lump in her throat. That note, that night, while doing her homework, Annie thought about her mom, how her mom made cookies just because, and how she always smelled like dandelion tea. Annie remembered her mom teaching her to make asparagus tacos and always giving her an extra big piece of carrot cake because it was her favorite. And as Annie got ready for bed, she thought about how her mom always came in to read the Three Lazy Sloths, Fluff, Annie's favorite book. Her mom always did the funniest voices, making Annie laugh every time. When her mom tucked her in with a kiss, Annie could only think about the card contest. She kept hearing Mr. Pike's words, "Show your mom you love her," with a beautiful Mother's Day card design. There has to be some way I can win, she thought as she drifted off to sleep. The next day, everyone was given time in class to work on their cards. The excitement filled the room. Julie was drawing hearts in different colors, and Maggie was drawing flowers. Moms love flowers on Mother's Day, Maggie said, beaming. Even CJ and Michael, who rarely got excited about school, were hard at work. Annie just sat, staring at her blank paper, thinking about her mom. "My mom will definitely know I love her when she sees my card," growled Rhonda. Annie closed her eyes, trying not to cry or yell, but deep down, all she wanted to say was, "But I love my mom too." Annie kept thinking about how much she loved her mom, how her mom smelled like oatmeal raisin cookies, and how, when she laughed, her whole body shook. But Annie's family didn't give gifts or cards on Mother's Day. Seeing Annie's blank paper, Julie whispered, "Can you not think of what to make?" "No," Annie snapped. "I'm not making one." "Well, I'm making two," Cody said proudly. "One for my mom and one for my bonus mom." Maggie chimed in. "I'm making mine for my grandma." Annie felt a twinge of guilt thinking of Maggie's mom not being around, but she's still making a card. Annie thought with a huff, "I really want to make a card to show my mom I love her." She closed her eyes in frustration, only thinking about how badly she wanted to make a card and win the contest. Frustrated, Annie picked up her pencil and walked to the sharpener, pretending to sharpen it. She glanced at the contest flyer on the wall, then it hit her. Wait, design a beautiful card. She read the flyer over and over until an idea sparked. Annie pulled down the flyer, took it back to her seat, started drawing, keeping her work covered so no one would see. All week, Annie worked on her design, carefully choosing just the right shades of blue for the sky and green for the trees, and everyone was curious, but she wouldn't let anyone peek. She added the final touches just as Mr. Pike came by to collect the cards. When she handed him her card, she held her breath, hoping it wouldn't. The next week, everyone had mostly forgotten about the contest until Mr. Pike walked into the room holding an envelope. "In my hand is our newest card, which goes on sale today," he announced, looking around. Everyone was whispering in excitement. "Who won?" "This card is one any mom would cherish," Mr. Pike continued. Annie, sure it wasn't hers, closed her eyes, bracing herself for the announcement. The winner's mom is coming in right now, Mr. Pike said, and he looked at Annie. I thought you'd like to give it to her yourself. Annie's eyes shot open. Wait, did he say me? The classroom door opened and her mom walked in smiling. Mr. Pike handed Annie the envelope and whispered, I figured your mom would like the card now instead of on Mother's Day. Annie, her heart thudding, walked over to her mom. I made this for you, she said softly. Her mom opened the envelope and pulled out the card. She looked at Annie with teary eyes, then bent down to give her the biggest hug, whispering, I don't need a card or a gift on any specific day because I know you love me every day. But as she handed the card back to Annie, she winked and said, But this card I will keep forever. A gift given out of love, just because. And as she looked at the card, Annie smiled because she knew her mom would keep it, because that's what moms do. And the card says, There are all kinds of moms, but human moms are the best, and I love you more than the rest. I can say I love you in many ways, but I don't need to say it on any one day because this card says, I love you every day. The end of the story.
I loved that book. That's such a good book. I especially love this book because my son was once asked as an adult, what are you going to do for your mom for Mother's Day? And he said, nothing. And his friend, I was eavesdropping, listening to this conversation. He was about 26. And yeah, and his friend said, well, why aren't you doing anything for Mother's Day? And he said, because I don't need a particular day to tell me that I tell my mother I love her. I honor my mother every day. And I thought, yeah, no, that's better than any Mother's Day gift I could ever get from him.
That is amazing. And see, and then I also have the issue where, you know, in elementary school, we talk about making crafts, like what craft are we going to make for Mother's Day? But we do
Sure.
always have that one child who they have more than one mom. They have a mom and a bonus mom, or their mom isn't in the picture anymore. So I kind of wish that we could just like maybe shift the focus a little bit and just about only somebody special who's in your life
Yeah,
or
I
something like
agree.
that. Yeah.
I agree. I think we need to take all of those mothers, fathers, grandparents, sweetest, all those special, we call them Hallmark holidays,
Mhm.
and just make them once a month. Pick a day and tell somebody you love them.
So anyway,
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic book. Tell me about Annie the Porcupine. Where did she come from? Because you don't see a lot of books about porcupines. Usually they're super soft, cuddly animals. You know, I wrote a book about a hippo and an elephant. Not really cuddly, but they're cute. How did you get this idea for a porcupine?
well, when I started writing the first book, I did not know what kind of animal it was going to be, but I knew the book was going to have the character was going to be Annie, which is my oldest child. But as I was writing the book and we were going through the process of going through some editing, and I had a couple people who were reading and giving me ideas, they kept saying, "Oh, you should do like a bunny." And I was like, "No, I own thousands of books about bunnies and bears."
Hmm,
And my cousin and I started talking, and we were talking, and I go, "Annie's just kind of snarky." And that's kind of when it clicked that my daughter in real life is also a little snarkly. You can only hug her when she's ready to be hugged.
yeah,
And therefore it just like snapped. Oh, she needs to be a porcupine. So that's how it came. And Annie embraced it. She did not have a problem at all with us making her into a porcupine.
that's very, very cool. The best thing about that is that, again, your goal is to allow children to see themselves in your books, and
Mhm.
not everybody's a hugger like your
That's true.
daughter, so it's really nice that you were able to take the entire idea about let's represent children who are usually lost in the crowd,
Mhm.
and you took it through to everything in story, in title, and in illustrations. Your illustrations are so beautiful.
Yes.
Really, really well.
Alexandra does a really good job of the illustrations.
Indeed, she does. I'm so glad you came back on the podcast. I know that you're working on some other more adult material. I'm really excited to see how your career crosses over. And I hope that no matter what you publish next, you'll come back and share it with us.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.